It's real and it's here. Tesla has started sending out invites for the most important event since the Model 3 unveil, coming in less than 2 weeks, October 10th. Elon Musk has come out saying this will be one for the history books. With the invite referring to WeRobot and taking a closer look at its design, we've unearthed clues as to what we can expect. Today, both CERN and I have theories. We'll show you the potential for multiple types of robots beyond just Optimus and for multiple types of robotaxi vehicles. Joining me is CERN Basher, who's a chartered financial analyst. He's currently running his own investment advisory firm called Brilliant Advice, providing wealth management services. Thank you, CERN.
Hi, Herbert. This should be a fun topic.
This one's a fun topic. We've got a number of videos to show. This is all about the big event for Tesla. They sent out the invites now. This is real. October 10th. Initially, they called it a Robotaxi event, but now the invite says WeRobot. And so one of my, start off my first theory is that this is not just about robotaxis, which I think there's going to be multiple form factors. I also think this is going to be about bots, but there's going to be more than just Tesla bot. So just for fun, I want to show you this little clip here.
Actually, I do not look like him. He happens to look rather like me. How do you think we made it this far? Where? Oh my, it is John Williams. Oh, I always enjoy hearing his music. He is so very talented. How do you think we made it this far?
Just wanted to show this group here, right? So you got a C-3PO humanoid robot, you got R2-D2, and more, you've heard Elon refer to our C-3POs and R2-D2s. You've heard Franz talk about it. You've heard many of the Tesla AI people refer to bot animals. I think they're going to show multiple form factors. What's your thoughts on that, sir?
I think that would be fun for sure. Long term, I'm in total agreement with that. I think we'll see many different types of robots in all shapes and sizes. And so that would be a fun element for this event. And it certainly seems to coincide very nicely with the invite. WeRobot does imply more than just a robotic vehicle. And, it certainly also includes Optimus, but it may well go beyond that.
All right, so you've got some information to share about your theories, what's the community saying, and at the end, you actually have a collection. We're going to show people a table of all the things that the community has said that they're expecting at this event, and we can all kind of say which ones we think is the right and wrong one. So let's start off with the invite itself, and what was your analysis here?
Yeah, I wanted to think about sort of, how to interpret this, because when you look at this, you see a number of different elements, right? You see the circular shape. It looks like a tire. It looks like a road. You see road lines. On the inside, certainly there's a camera lens. And inside the camera lens, you can see the ones and the zeros. There's the sun reflecting in there, so it's kind of a dawn of a new time. Some people have suggested that's light at the end of the FSD tunnel. That's another interpretation of that. Dr. Know-it-all suggested that the gray shading is kind of a nod to the Cyber truck or to the Cyber design. And I would say that the lettering also is a nod to that. So kind of that futuristic thing. And Elon has certainly talked about the Cyber cab. I don't know whether that name will stick, but I think that's kind of a theme here, the futuristic theme. There's been a lot of effort to try to decode what the ones and the zeros might mean, or what the lines and the dots might mean. And so, that we've discussed a lot of that, but every element in this image was put there for a reason.
Yeah, and it's a vision camera. It looks like an eyeball too.
Yeah,
but it's a vision camera. All that. So yeah. So, and of course, you also said that it's the same thing as showing up on the app. We'll get there, but let's start off with iRobot. What does WeRobot refer to?
Well, Isaac Asimov, a famous science fiction author who wrote something like over 500 books. He's a very prolific author. He wrote this iRobot series in the 1940s, and it was really a number of sort of short cautionary tales about robots in society. And so I think Elon is sort of saying, he's tilting his hat towards Isaac Asimov, who's certainly one of the great science fiction writers of all time, if not the greatest. And sort of saying, yeah, I hear him, right? We respect his work, but we're going to do something a little different here, right? So they're adopting this term. Instead of iRobot, it's WeRobot. And so, the idea of combining humanity with robotics, I think, is kind of what they're getting at here.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, for sure. So you have some thoughts on this 1010 image? Yeah, you just mentioned it. So it looks like a camera. Uh,
Yeah, you can see that there's a number of similarities between the human eye,
yeah,
the camera on my Cybertruck, the front camera on the Cybertruck in the bottom right. You
yeah,
can see the lens is very similar to that, especially the inner part.
yeah,
And then, of course, HAL 9000 in 2001 Space Odyssey.
yeah.
Again, not a great example for perhaps the way we envision the future with robots, but still another great science fiction piece.
Yeah, pretty cool. Looks like a car tire. Looks like an asphalt road. Looks like you're going to be driving around global coverage. Love it. Yeah, for sure. This is the Jan Yan of the UV Universe pointed out, right? That this looks exactly like the button and the app that they showed in one of their mock-ups as they were saying, hey, we're about to do this event. And you could press on this button on the app and you can summon a robotaxi. It says hold to order. And you're saying that this actually spins around, but that clearly this is the same components of that app.
That's right. So certainly it would be reasonable to expect that we'll see much more details of that app, and certainly that app in action in hailing a robotaxi of some sort, or robotaxis. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. This I think this is very, very important. Elon posted this right after the invite started going out. He said this will be one for the history books. So for me, when I heard that, I'm like, okay, you can't just go out and do a presentation and unveil, vehicles. And it's got to be bigger than this. And it can't just be unveiling. I think if for it to be in history books, it needs to be sold within 6 months or at least within that year. I mean, it's just weird to have an event and nothing happens for a year. Then it's not that event. There'll be another event somewhere in between that's for the history books that says this is the time for a new dawn. This is something the world is going to change now. Like when the iPhone, I think, is considered to be one for the history books. When Steve Jobs unveiled the iPhone, it changed the world. But it was because it's not just a theory of a future product. It was like, I'm going to sell that. We're selling this, and then you can buy it within 6 months. That's what I think happened, right?
Yeah. The thing about the iPhone is that most people probably didn't recognize it as that history changing moment.
Mm-hmm.
It took some time for, I think, people to really recognize it. And so this also has the potential to be a moment like that, where some things are unveiled that the most people just don't fully appreciate. But also, when you think about where the event is being held,
Mm-hmm.
in Los Angeles, I mean, Tesla could have easily held this event somewhere else. They could have held it at Giga Texas. You could have easily driven robotaxis around the Giga Texas factory, closed environment, no problem. So the idea here is to go big with this. There is something that they want to share with the world, right? And so I don't think it's just another product announcement. It needs to be more than that, in my opinion.
All right. And so, yeah, so a lot of people have been saying that this is what they're expecting, that it's going to be this. It's like a small compact car. You got the scissor doors. It's got to be cheap. And then because they keep citing that a robotaxi, 90% is a one person ride, another 5% is a two-person ride, and very small percentage is multiple people. And of course, I'm been saying I don't believe that it's going to look like this at all. Anyways, why did you include this slide?
Well, this is what everybody's been anchoring, I think, their thoughts on. This image at the top was in Walter Isaacson's book. My belief is that they wouldn't have let this be in the book if that was, in fact, the exact shape and form factor of the robotaxi. My guess is that it would not have been in the book if that was the case. So, rightly or wrongly, we've been anchored on this image that may prove to be a misdirection. But I do agree with the premise that ideally, robotaxi for most rides can be a very small, fairly simple vehicle. But unfortunately, that is not going to be enough. And so, in my opinion, there has to be at least two vehicles. There needs to be something else that can handle more than two people. And ideally, it needs to be wheelchair accessible as well. Right. And so that is not some small vehicle. And so I think that we'll see at least two different form factors, if not more.
Okay, well, before we actually go, because I want to do a complete deep dive on this multiple vehicle potential for multiple form factors, which I agree with you. Um, and before we get to your whole table of all the things that can be there, before we jump off that idea that it could be multiple bots, and that he called it WeRobot, which is also not just a reference to Isaac Asimov, right? It's also a reference to the iRobot movie that was there. And so I think not only might we have multiple bot form factors, you got to come out with 10 or 20 Optimuses. Like, it's got to show that this is a world, and it's not just I've got one demo here, I got one demo there. It's got to be like a lot. So imagine if this is a scene from the iRobot movie. Right? But I mean, that's iRobot movie. So we're calling it WeRobot. Could be referring to.
I hope that we're not going down that path. Although it might be fun to have, Will Smith involved, although he may not be welcomed by a lot of people at this point.
No.
Which is fine. But yeah, I think it would be interesting to see multiple Optimus robots in one place. We've seen one, we've seen a few in the workshop, but I think that would be a more powerful image. Certainly nothing like what we just saw in the movie there, but yeah, to see multiple robots doing things, I think would be fascinating.
That would be cool. And then, of course, in terms of WeRobot, he's referring to that robotaxis, they've continued. He's been saying this for so many years now. Robotaxis are just bots on wheels, right? And so this is in that same movie. Here's the clip that some people refer to, like, what is that? There's a robotaxi in the iRobot movie too. So let's just for fun, let's take a look at this.
Please take the next exit to your right. Welcome, Detective Spooner.
So first of all, you had the car talking to you, right? Yeah, and then of course it's autonomous, and it's all autonomous. All these cars are all autonomous at this point, right? And there's a boring tunnel. I don't think it's going to be scissor doors. Some people still think it's going to be this. I don't think so. It looks cool. It's a sports car, but that's not make it easy for people to get in or out. And then, of course, they show this scene, which is like, there's all these robotaxis. This is where they're being held. Yeah, just for fun. I don't know if any of this means anything.
Yeah, we may see elements of this. There is no doubt, certainly, that Elon has this grand vision of this future of autonomous vehicles. And my guess is that he shared only a part of it with us.
Yeah.
And that we'll see more of this vision. At least I hope that we will. Yeah, so this is their opportunity. They're saying that they're ready for this event. They're hosting it in Los Angeles, of all places. Yeah. It better be an impressive event.
Yeah, if they were holding it on their own property, do you remember, like, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, they released a video of what the future could look like. I think it was Hyperloop. That's what they were pitching, and then you saw these robotaxi vans, like a shuttle vans. And then they were popping in and out from the street, from underneath. And then they would, drive you, and then they would park and then be brought down to the tunnel and all that. That's how they saw the vision. But I don't think that's going to be demoed now, but that would have been pretty cool. So we'll get there. But I think that the van model is what it could look like. So let's go through some of the slides you shared here. So this is, tell me what this is. Yeah.
This is a slide that many people would be familiar with in terms of the future vehicles for Tesla. They've often shown this list of vehicles, and there's been a couple of vehicles under wraps.
Yeah.
Right. And so, the one on the far right, where they're talking about the electric fleet, 700 million, clearly that needs to be a small robotaxi, right? A small vehicle. Right. And then they're showing one to the left of that, under the 300 million category, which includes a Cybertruck, and that has to be a van or a larger passenger carrying vehicle of some sort. So in my mind, these two vehicles at the very least need to be shown on the Robotaxi event. A smaller Robotaxi that's suitable for anywhere, and then a larger vehicle that can carry more passengers and potentially cargoed as a delivery van as well, autonomous delivery van.
Agreed. So this was part of the slide of Master Plan Part 3, and they said globally, in order for the world to get this sustainable energy, this is what the world needs. They need 40 million of these kinds of vehicles. They need 380 million of these kinds, 20 million of semi trucks. This is the market that they would be playing in.
Mhm.
And he's saying that Robotaxi could be 700 million of, or some sort of form factor. But then this is the most recent, right?
This is from the annual shareholder meeting. And so this is the most recent version of that chart.
Yeah.
And the order has been rearranged a bit. I think the Robotaxi and the van are now on the left, as probably the two sort of lower cost options. And then as we move to the right, there you're getting into the more expensive options. And I think the vehicle on the far right is probably the Roadster.
Yeah.
And I think there's a high likelihood that it is also unveiled at this event.
Oh, I don't think so.
Elon has talked about that the Roadster, towards the end of this year. Now, could they have a separate event for the Roadster? Absolutely, they could, and
Yeah.
maybe it deserves its own event. But why not just do it at this event?
Well, it's supposed to be one for the history books, and Roadster does not contribute to the history books. It's kind of cool. It may be because it's supposed to say, "Oh, here's the future," right? It can fly a little bit. So
If it can hover, if it can fly, that's one for the history books.
It's going to take away from the whole point of this Robotaxi event. But yeah, it's this idea that this slide came out and it was great. I was given by so many people different theories of how they did this. Some people said, "Oh, the cars on the right are commercial vehicles. They're more like the big commercial vehicles, and the cars on the left are family vehicles." And then somebody else said, "Oh, yeah, this is like price point. This is different price points." And that to me was the right answer. Was
that's the way I'm interpreting it as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. And so the difference I have with a lot of people is that I think that this is the Robotaxi, and I think that it's going to be like more of a, not a van. I'm not saying it's going to be massive. I'm saying that it's a small compact vehicle, but it's more like like I've been saying, a London cab, right? You can have people sitting two sides here. If you want, it can be a one-person thing. You can lie down, or you can be a two-person thing. But if you want, it can also be a four-person thing. Like, why would they create? It's like one thing that they would create that can do 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this, I think, is the more affordable vehicles. But okay, I could be wrong there. We'll see. So tell me what this is.
So what I did was I wanted to sort of get a sense of everybody's.
Yeah, I apologize. I want to, I think I've got a couple more things to show, right? Didn't you want me to share the annual shareholder meeting where Elon's talking about this?
Elon actually made some comments about the slide that are interesting. Yes, thank you.
Okay, let's do that next.
So obviously we've got some new products that we're working on under the covers. And I think these are, I think these are going to be pretty special. So, some of them, I think people maybe at first may think, oh, it's not going to be that amazing, but just wait. It will be. So. So our supercharger network is...
That's all he said about it?
Yeah, the comment that he said there, some of them, people at first may not think they're going to be that amazing. Now, that leads me to believe there could be more than two. Because the Roadster, people are going to think that's amazing. So take that one off the table. If the one on the far right's the Roadster, fine. That takes care of itself.
Yeah.
The other two, why wouldn't people think that a Robotaxi or a small van or whatever it is wouldn't be amazing? Like, why does he feel the need to make that comment? All right, I'm curious about that. Do you have any thoughts on that, Herbert, in terms of what that might mean?
Yeah, I do. robotaxi is going to be utilitarian in terms of potential look, but
Yeah.
I think that they're going to optimize for the experience, and I think the inside is going to be amazing. That's why I've been saying that. That's what I think. But
So do you feel though that Elon needs to say that? Like, if the inside looks
yeah.
amazing, then why would people think that the vehicle's not amazing?
Okay, I don't have an answer. What's your? Why would
No,
he
I
say?
don't
Some
know.
people might think.
It's an open question for me in terms of what
some
he's
people
saying
might.
there.
Some people might not think it's amazing, but trust me, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm puzzled by that comment. I don't have a good answer. Hopefully on 1010 it becomes clear what he meant by that.
Yeah. I mean, he also said before, right, when he was talking about the Cybertruck there, right? Remember, he said, like, I think it's cool. I'm not sure if the world will think it's cool. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't give a crap. He said, I just said, we're going to go with it.
And it's
Kind of
interesting
thing.
on that one. I can speak from personal experience on that now, because when I first saw the Cybertruck,
Yeah.
I didn't like the design. And then over time, I became more interested in it. And then when I actually got to see one in person in Tampa last November,
Yeah.
I thought it was amazing looking. Just to be able to stand next to it and walk around the outside, I was astonished at how beautiful the vehicle was. And now that I actually own one and have driven one, the level of respect for what Tesla has done with that vehicle has risen to even new levels. So there's been sort of steps along the way. So I understand that journey of not liking something to now completely loving it. And it's kind of an amazing journey to go through to experience it. And so I can imagine that Elon may be thinking the same thing about the robotaxi. That perhaps
So,
when you see it, you won't be
yeah.
that impressed.
Yeah.
But when you actually get to experience it firsthand,
Exactly.
that's when the light bulb goes off.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Remember he was on a Tesla owner Silicon Valley event. He was interviewed and he said, the problem is that it's like you have cats. You have two cats, but one cat can talk to you and sing and dance. And you don't know because they both look like cats. And so that's what he's referring to. Our current cars right now, our current Teslas look like a normal car.
Yeah.
Now, I think that the robotaxi, it's going to look cool. No doubt. They're teasing that it's going to be really cool. It's going to look futuristic, cyber look. It's going to look fantastic. But at the end of the day, I don't think they're not creating these for you to be so excited about the form factor that they want you to buy it. They're creating it so that you what's the utility, right? I want to feel safe in this thing. And I want the experience inside to be useful for me. If I work or if I'm entertained or I don't want to be, I want to see the outside. I don't want to see the outside, whatever. Those are more important. And so it's the features that you will experience as opposed to what you see. And maybe we're spending a little too long on this, but yeah. So I think you and I are aligned on this, right? So I think it's going to be not just one vehicle, a robotaxi. It's going to be multiple robotaxi vehicles. And so before we get there, I think you've got here 2-seater cybercabs, single row 3-seater, 4 or 5-seater, 6-seater. Let's just focus on the robotaxi vehicle first.
Yeah, so let me first say what this is. So I decided to ask the community what their expectations were for the Robotaxi event, and I got this incredible list of ideas and expectations.
Yeah.
And so this is an attempt to kind of summarize all those. So I'm not suggesting with this list that this is what we're going to see. This is just a summary of the breadth of the ideas that are out there. So on the Robotaxi vehicle side, you can see that people are expecting a 2-seater cybercab, and let's just call that Auto 2.
Nice.
Somebody suggested that that's what they'll be called. The vehicles, because they'll use the unbox process, will just be called Auto, and then there'll be a number afterward to tell you how many seats or how many people can fit in the vehicle.
Yeah.
So then some people have suggested it should be a single row 3-seater because that would cover more scenarios. Auto 3. Some people suggested it's a 4 or 5-seater. Call it Auto 4. Some people want a 6+ seater. People with families with kids want 6 or more. Other people say it needs to be wheelchair accessible. And some people believe that they'll make these available for pre-order.
Yeah.
That people will be able to buy their own and add these vehicles to the fleet at some point, in addition to the current existing Tesla vehicles that are out there. And that would be exciting for a lot of people because it would give them an opportunity to create a source of income, right? So I don't know. I can see the potential for all of this and the need for all of it at some point. Now, what will be announced? I don't know. My guess is it's a couple of vehicles. If we're lucky, it might be 3. In terms of the robotaxi demonstration,
Yeah, let's not move there yet because I want
Okay.
to show a part here about the unboxed model. So first, I love the name Auto. There was a hint by Elon a long time ago because he sent out a tweet with a photo and he underlined the auto. Auto it's great, right? Auto means automobile. It also means autonomous.
Yep.
And auto is a great name for a service.
Yes.
I'm gonna get me an auto. I'm supposed to get me as Uber me auto. Great, right? I like that. Auto 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. I love it. I think this you're onto something there. I love that thinking. Now, here's what I think is going to happen. They're going to show you the unboxed model, and the unboxed model sets it up that the same process can easily create multiple form factors. And this is what I've been saying, that the left and the right are going to be the same. There's no front and back. You don't need a front and back. And I think it's going to look like more of a instead of a front and back of a car, it's just going to be a single cast, and it's the same thing. You can move it front and back. Then you can have a middle part, and you can have 2 middle parts, or you can have 3 middle parts, you can have 4 middle parts. It's like a Lego pieces. Let me show you this when they talked about the unboxed model.
It's going to look something like this, where we build all the sides of the cars independently. We only paint what we need to, and then we assemble the parts of the car once and only once. We put them where they need to go. The interior is attached from a bottom-up or a top-down strategy, so there's more access for those robots and people. We aren't moving heavy objects around and doing nothing to it, and it means we're doing more work on the car more of the time. And then when we take all of these tested sub-assemblies and we put them together, we finally assemble the car only one time, putting the sides on with all of their parts to a front and rear that was already assembled, carrying the floor in with the seats, and finally boxing it out with the doors one time, just like Cybertruck. So in the end, you get the same car, but it's not going to be a Model Y.
Yeah, this is not. Yeah. This is a Model Y for illustration, not the next gen vehicle.
Okay, so you saw that, right? Right?
And then when we take all of these tested sub-assemblies,
boom, right there. So you have the front and you have the back, and I'm saying that the front and back can look exactly the same. And then you add different middle parts.
and we put them together.
You just add different middle parts. You want a 2-seater,
could add
4-seater, 6-seater. Yeah.
More rows of seats if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Sure.
You don't need this front side here. So why not just have these seats, 2 seats forward, 2 seats facing each other, 2 people facing each other. You have the exact same part. Lots of room. You can walk in it, middle. You could take that seat, lie down if you want. You cover up these other 2 seats. Why create a different vehicle for a 1-seater, 2-seater, a 2-seater versus a 4-seater? I mean, right now, when you order an Uber, what do you get? You get a car that can seat 4 people or 5. There's a guy in front driving. Well, why not just take the same vehicle and just flip it on both sides? Anyways, that's what I've been saying this for long, and I've got so many bets going on with so many people who says I'm dead wrong. I could be dead wrong.
Well, and that was what was amazing to me when I did this survey, is that the breadth of ideas is kind of incredible.
Yeah.
Some of these will be right, some of them won't be, but all of them are interesting. So moving to the demonstration itself, clearly, video demonstration, absolutely a minimum. That would be disappointing if we just saw that. Many people have suggested that Elon will arrive via Robotaxi, and or other famous people may also arrive in Robotaxi. Again, you're in LA, so it's probably the greatest concentration of famous people anywhere in the world. I'm sure a few of them will show up to this event. Live demonstration? I think so. Participant rides? Well, that would be cool. The people that got tickets to the event would be thrilled to ride in a Robotaxi. A working app? Absolutely. I think they've already teased that. and ideally a full demo of the app from beginning of the experience, ordering, summoning the vehicle, and what it's like in the vehicle, and then through to the end of the ride, and so on. I think that's all very important. And then the robotaxi network itself, right? So there is a great debate whether or not there will initially be a supervised robotaxi network.
Hmm.
Many
Yeah.
people feel that FSD is not yet ready for unsupervised robotaxi. So why not start it off with what I'm calling Drive as the
Yeah.
name of the
Wow.
network?
Good name.
Okay. Somebody's driving you,
Yeah.
and that in essence kind of competes with Uber and gets their foot in the door and gets them started.
Hmm.
ARK Invest is a proponent of this idea. They've been talking about this for years. They may know something we don't. Auto is a name I think, Herbert, that you
Yeah, I love it.
talked about. I'm not sure whether you came up with that, but I heard it from you first.
Hmm.
In terms of the driverless robotaxi, and that's ultimately what we're looking for. We would love to understand maybe not just the launch date, but just the time frame around some of these things and where it will be rolled out. Where in the US initially, where in China, where in Europe, Canada, etc. Many people expect that there will be some partner announcements. Some say no way to Uber, and others say, you know what, why not?
Yeah.
Right? And other partners, fleet operating partners, etc. There could be some of that too.
Hmm.
I would love to hear a little bit of a discussion about network economics and just how that looks. And I think Wall Street would also appreciate that. And then this idea of a auto spa, some infrastructure for cleaning the vehicles, charging, cleaning, etc. We already know that Tesla has some patents about sort of an air blowing system that can clean the car from the inside and that kind of thing. So any kind of demonstration regarding that, I think, would be very interesting. And then in the category of other updates, Grok in the vehicle. We all want to hear the car talk, and we want to be able to speak to the vehicle. If this is not shown, we would love to understand a timeline for that. And in fact, we would like this to be in our existing vehicles as well. And that would be really exciting to see that, to hear that. Wireless charging. We know that Tesla has worked on this. Is it ready for prime time? It would be cool to find out. Maybe some discussion about FSD 12.6 or future versions of FSD. And then on the wish list, an update about AI5, Dojo, 4680s, and then maybe some discussion about the Tesla App Store. Essentially, Robotaxi becomes kind of a new computing platform, and so who will have access to that to write software to that platform? So all that could be really interesting stuff. Now, it's a lot.
Yeah. That's a lot.
I don't know how many hours they planned to spend on this event.
Yeah.
But to cover all that,
Yeah,
it would
it's
be a
too much,
lot.
yeah. They won't do all that, but I love that you put it all together. This is fantastic. I appreciate you doing this. Yeah.
And that's not it, Herbert. If you go to the next page,
Oh my gosh.
we have another list of more wish list items.
Yeah.
So the whole idea then of a $25,000 vehicle, so a non-robotaxi vehicle that does have a steering wheel and pedals. Other unboxed vehicles.
That's what I've been talking about.
Again, the beauty of the unbox process is you could have an infinite number of vehicle types, basically. The Roadster, and I put flying in quotes, whether it's hovering or flying or rapid acceleration of some sort, that's on the wish list. Some people want to see a cybervan, camper van platform. And some have even suggested that a windowless vehicle is possible. You could save some money doing that without windows, makes it more private, etc. Safer, perhaps. And then in the Optimus column, with WeRobot, we hope, many people hope, that we'll see maybe an unveil of Gen 3 of Optimus. Now, Scott Walter thinks that Tesla isn't quite ready for that.
Right.
That even a demo of Optimus or information about Optimus production, or even Optimus involved in the robotaxi network, whether it's charging, cleaning, or something like that, And then finally, in the miscellaneous category, a bunch of interesting ideas. Vehicles that don't have any paint, like the Cybertruck. Why bother painting the vehicles? Doors that self-open and close. Details about insurance. If you're putting your
Right.
vehicle in the fleet, how is insurance going to work? That's kind of a key detail for people to understand. Many people want to see a shared ride option,
Hmm.
like you have potentially in some Ubers and certainly public transits like that.
Yeah.
Rotating seats
Yep.
is another thing that would be pretty cool. And then finally, fixed routes that are first to go live. So if FSD isn't quite ready to roam about the world on its own, is there a geofenced option to get this going?
Hmm.
Is there some fixed routes that you could run these vehicles on that are programmed in a different way? I personally think that's highly unlikely, but sure, it's an interesting idea. The former CEO of Uber, there was some rumors that he might be hired to lead the Robotaxi division. That's an expectation by some. Starlink being built into all the vehicles.
Right.
Got to keep track of the fleet somehow. Cell coverage isn't perfect everywhere. Some have suggested that FSD sales will come to an end, that it'll just all move to a subscription model. And then finally, and this one's really interesting, and to your multiple robots ideas, additional robot form factors.
Yeah.
Different shapes and sizes. This could be a fun venue, particularly being close to Hollywood, to roll out some of those ideas.
Hmm.
And then the final one that I would add to this list is, if you go to the next slide, we've got the matter of this diner being
Yeah.
built in LA, not too far away.
Yeah.
Is this ready to be opened and showcased? I don't know, but it's getting close.
That's cool. Yeah, I love this list. Fantastic list. There's so much here. Yeah.
There's a lot that's on the plate, and clearly we're not going to see all of this.
Hmm.
And I guess the question is, what? But I thought all these ideas were excellent ideas. Some of them I think are more likely than others, but there's a lot they can choose from. So my conclusion from all this is that expectations are all over the place with
Sure.
regard to this event. And if somebody asked me whether this is overhyped, I would say no. Although that's, I suppose, hard to judge. We won't know until after the fact. There's so many different avenues that Tesla could take this that are all exciting in many, many ways.
Yeah, I think now that they called it WeRobot, and it's not just going to be a robotaxi event. It's hard for me to think it's just a robotaxi event now. It's going to be bots, and that it's the time to reposition Tesla as a robotics AI company.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you do that? You got to show the humanoid bots, multiple bot factors, multiple, the way you're going to change the world. Not just going to become one vehicle. It's going to change the world, but it's not going to be that. Like it's huge, but it's not. It's like you want to blow everybody away. Like the world is going to change. You got these robots and you got these different form factors. Here's what's coming. The only thing about that could be, so that's the thing about the unbox model, right? It's not like, we're only going to create one vehicle at a time. No, with the unbox model, you really are just creating one production line or one, production system. Mm-hmm. And then you can have different form factors. That's why they move this way. So it's really the unboxing of the unveiling of the unbox model.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully there's an opportunity to show that. I guess in that sense, you could say, well, that would be better off being shown in the factory.
Right.
But maybe they could just show some videos of that.
That's right. All right, let's take a look at your bingo card. You become pretty famous with these bingo cards. They're a lot of fun, but they also are great. I think that they're great because they give you that chance to debate and to see the whole thing and then choose which of these things you agree and which ones you don't. Tell us what you put together here.
Well, first of all, full credit to James Stevenson. I think he did this, 5.5 years ago for the Model Y event.
Yeah.
Model Y, Model 3, Model Y. I guess Model Y. Anyway, so I've kind of run with it lately, and here's one I put together for this event. taking some of the ideas that we saw on the previous pages and put them in kind of a bingo card format.
Mm-hmm.
And if you recall with bingo, the center circle, the center square is a free one. So I just put in the logo there. And the way you win at bingo is to get a line, vertical, horizontal, or diagonal to win. I don't know if anything on this bingo card is winnable.
Oh, it is. No.
Some people have suggested to me that there are
right
lines.
Here. N. Like, there's no doubt N's going to happen. Announce Robotaxi name. Live Robotaxi demo. You get me a free card here. Robotaxi app demo. Announce user pricing. That's the simplest thing. Yes, all that's happening.
Yep. So maybe I'll have to rearrange some of the squares in to make that one harder. But
this angle, this one here, the diagonal here, that would be my killer one. This would be the killer angle. Okay, you got your 2-seater and 4-seater that I've been saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got the fleet partner announced, because like the whole plan for Tesla is to license this, to create the network, but they don't want to be the one cleaning everything. Although they've got patents for it, they still think that they'll need fleet partners. He's talked about that, and rideshare partner announced, right? So some sort of licensing. That to me is where I'm sorry, is that not licensing? Oh, it's right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still think that would be killer. How about you?
Yeah. There were a lot of exciting ones. I hope that the grok in the vehicle is part of it. So that would be column B, or the fourth row down, to win that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there'd be a lot of exciting things here. If you were to win any of these lines, I think it would be pretty exciting.
Exactly. Good point.
Now, just to tease everybody, on our Cyber Bowl show coming up this next Thursday, I'm going to have 3 more different bingo cards to share. Yeah. And these are all kind of in the more fun category. And one of them is a drinking game around the event. Yeah. That was requested by somebody, so I've decided to put one together.
That's what these are for, by the way. They are all drinking games, by the way. That's the purpose of a bingo card, is drinking it. Check, drink. Okay.
And certainly for those that didn't get a ticket to the event, there might be some heavy drinking involved to console themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. This is great. Thank you for putting this together. That's what I love about what you do, is you organize the thinking, you put it into nice organizations, things like this. And I just really appreciate that you put this together. This is a lot. I mean, you've had 2 pages full of potential things that might happen. Today, you and I agreeing, I think. Yeah, we're both kind of in the same camp, right? That it's not going to be that form factor that we saw, 2-seater, compact, just 2 people. It's going to be a bit more, but I think I'm saying that it's going to be unbox model, multiple form factors for Robotaxi. Now I'm saying there's going to be multiple robots as well. And you agree with both those, right? Yeah.
I largely do. Yeah. I think there'll be more than one vehicle displayed.
Yeah.
I think it would be a mistake just to show a 2-seater.
Right.
And they've certainly shown undercover that there's something else that's not just a 2-seater vehicle, right? It's van-like. It's a larger capacity vehicle. I think they will show that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
And in terms of multiple robots, I think that would be exciting. I'm a little bit less convinced that we're going to see all that at this event, just due to the time constraints.
Yeah.
But possibly. I mean, again, they're in Hollywood, Los Angeles. It's a perfect place to unveil it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It could just be multiple Optimuses, and that's enough for WeRobot.
Yeah.
And the cars, Optimus in the cars. But yeah, it would be kind of cool if they showed off a R2D2 kind of thing. But yeah, you're right. That's a little bit of a stretch, that one, for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's highly likely that we see a number of famous people, and there's a number of famous people that are big Tesla supporters. Shaquille O'Neal, Jay Leno, etc.
Jay Leno, yeah.
Steven Spielberg, to name just 3. There's more. To incorporate them somehow in the presentation could be kind of fun.
Yeah, I think if they're associated with the future, that's the critical thing, I think.
Yeah.
Then it's worth it. Otherwise, just the name, that doesn't make sense. Got to be somebody who's always thought about the future, who's written about the future, scientist, futurist. Those would be better for me. But yeah, thank you so much, Cern. I appreciate this. This was fun. And sprinkled with some, information that it's been shared by Tesla in the past. So that gives us informed of what we think might happen in this event. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Herbert.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.